Have you ever wondered who's behind the avatars that you're talking to in the metaverse? While most avatars are powered by people right now, the rise of AI and natural language processing means that avatars powered by algorithms are coming soon, so get excited. What do issues of transparency and consent around this look like? How can humans power their own avatars in an ethical way? Please welcome founder of Friends with Holograms, Courtney Harding, as she addresses these issues and more in our next talk.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today and for hanging in there. I know it's been a long couple of days. It's the afternoon. You're all excited to go out and have a glass of wine. So hang in here with me and we will talk about what about virtual beings, right? So let's get started. So I'm Courtney, as you know, and these are some of my avatars. So the first one you see is my Horizon Worlds avatar, a little bit more like me, different hair, but similar aesthetic. The other is my avatar in a platform called Spatial, which is a great metaverse platform. You should definitely check it out. And, it's kind of a strange angle that I'm at, leaning back, like weirdly. But again, these are just some of the beings that I embody as I move through these different virtual worlds. And these are just some of the talks that I've given in my life. I like to talk a lot. Earlier today, I taught a class. And, I talk a lot about this stuff. I like this stuff. I give a lot of talks. The problem is, while I enjoy doing these talks, they all go up on kind of a YouTube channel, and then they just kind of sit there. They just kind of hang out. Every so often, somebody will see one, reach out to me. But generally, they just kind of are there. So I've put all of this content out into the world, and it just kind of hangs out. I don't really get to use it. I don't really get to do anything interesting with it. So what I've been thinking about most recently is, how do I take this content that I've spent years of my life at this point working on and building and putting out into the universe and do something more interesting with it? And then I thought, how can I take this content and make it so I don't have to work as hard as I normally do? So that's what this talk is. Basically, how do you take what you've put out already into the world and make it such that it can power your avatar in a way that that avatar can then do all the work you don't want to do, and you can go to the beach. So this slide I'm going to skip over because this is a little outdated. Unfortunately, I did not have great version control with this deck. But basically, where we're at right now, avatars exist. Obviously, I just showed you a couple. There's a lot of DIY chatbot platforms, but many of them require scripting. There's LLMs, large language models, that scrape a lot of data, right? So you've all seen ChatGPT and other programs like that. But ChatGPT just scrapes everything. And there's a lot of issues with ChatGPT that we can get into, but we don't have time for that. We've only got 20 minutes. So, these are useful for like big questions, right? Write me a poem in the style of Shakespeare about my dog, or, tell me the best way to plan a trip to Paris. But they're not really good for very specific things. Avatars that aren't programmed as chatbots right now have to be kind of self-directed. So if you create an avatar, you have to be the one that powers it, right? So I make my avatar in Horizon Worlds. I go into Horizon Worlds. I'm the one talking or taking the actions. It's me, and it's me in real time. So right now, having an avatar in the metaverse is a net increase to your amount of work. And I talk about work very broadly, right? Because a lot of us who spend time in the metaverse do so for enjoyment. We play games, we talk to other people, we have conversations, we socialize, but that's still work that you are doing. Now, the update to this slide is basically there are now a lot of programs where you can specifically select your own data and create an avatar or a bot that is specific to you. So you can go in and say, write me an article in the style of, and put in a journalist's name or your name, and it will scrape the web for that content and spit that back out. So that's where we're getting today. We're getting really close to the state where you can create individualized avatars and individualized models based on all of your own work. So what does that mean? So this is the ideal future state, right? An avatar that is programmed with my entire digital history, all the talks I've given, all the articles I've written, all my social media posts, and there's so many of them at this point, right? The entire digital history can be combed through and put together, and then this avatar can go into the metaverse and converse with others on its own. So my avatar can essentially be freely roaming in the metaverse in whatever platform I choose while I'm asleep, at the beach, doing other work. Whatever I want to be doing, that avatar can be doing work for me. And it doesn't have to just be one avatar. I can have as many avatars as I want, right? Because they're all just powered off the same model. So they can be in multiple places at once. So what does this actually mean? Like, why do we want to do this? Well, why wouldn't we want to do this? So this is an image from Huck Finn, right? Where Huck Finn convinces one of the other kids, like, it's so much fun to paint a fence. It's so much fun to do this work. Like, paint the fence, right? It's fun, it's a party. But the issue is, of course, then Huck Finn like goes to sleep under the tree and hangs out and wakes up and the kids have done all the work for him. Now, this practice is, of course, unethical, right? You don't want to get somebody to do your labor for you and not compensate them. But in this instance, the labor is being done by you, just by the past version of you. You've already done the labor. I've already given the talks, written the articles, done the work, had the thoughts that go into all of this. So this is essentially kind of taking what I've already done and just like lengthening its life, right? It's really a way for me to understand, to take everything that I've done before, grow its value, continue to expand its value, while I can take the time to do other stuff that I want to do. So this is a way essentially to work smarter and not harder, right? How many times have we heard that? How many times have we heard like, there's somebody in the back room doing like jumping jacks, which I love. Yes, work smart, work hard, and work out while you're also running the sound booth. I love it. See, that's exactly what I'm talking about, right? How do you multitask, right? So eventually, we're gonna be in the metaverse, right? We're gonna spend a lot of our time there. We're gonna work, we're gonna consume, we're gonna network. It's gonna be a really big part of our life. But a lot of this can be automated, so we can focus on the things that we're good at. Now, let me ask you this. How many people in this audience have like a day job, right? 9 to 5, you go to an office or you work from home remotely, okay. How many of you have parts of your job that you don't particularly enjoy? Sure, everyone does, right? You know, yeah, I mean, hopefully there's some parts of your job you enjoy. That would be kind of a bummer if there weren't any parts of your job. But look, no job is perfect. Every job has like, you have to file an expense report. You have to be on a sales call with some random person you've never heard of because their software might work for your company. Or you have to make a call to some random person who probably doesn't want to hear from you because you're trying to sell them your software. Or you have to like update Asana, right? My company keeps trying to get me to use Asana. And I'm like, no, I do not want to do this. This is not what I enjoy, right? So everyone has these things they do. And most of these tasks are kind of repetitive or they're things that aren't as interesting. So this is a way for you to like automate that based on your previous work, based on everything that you've built into the model. And so that way you can actually pull back and do the things that you're good at. It's not about necessarily getting rid of jobs, but it's about allowing people to focus on the parts of their jobs that they are the best at so that we can have happier and more productive workers. Right? So think about this. This is a line from a Trader Joe's in New York City. If any of you have ever shopped at the Trader Joe's in New York City on a Sunday afternoon, you know exactly what a miserable experience this is, right? No one on earth enjoys this. If you enjoy standing in line at a Trader Joe's, like, I mean, I guess, good for you. Maybe make an OnlyFans channel about it. But the point is, no one likes this. No one likes this kind of like dull, repetitive stuff, but everyone has to do it, right? We all have to go to the grocery store. We all have to go to the DMV. We all have to do our taxes. We all have to do this stuff just because we have to live. But why can't your avatar just do it for you? So I'll give you an example story. So in January, my husband was laid off from his job. They had big company-wide layoffs. He was part of it. So he thought, all right, well, I'll get unemployment. I've paid into the system for long enough. I should get something back. So he goes online to file, and the New York City Department of Unemployment tells him, oops, somebody stole your social security number during COVID and filed a fraudulent claim. So sorry, okay? Not great, New York State. So he's like, all right, well, how do I fix this? This is obviously a bad thing. How do I make this better? So it was like he would call and he'd sit on hold and he'd wait and he'd have to talk to our state representative and he'd have to do this and that. And it was like a huge waste of his time, right? This is somebody who bills his time at a lot of money per hour. He's a very like skilled employee, highly educated. It is not a good use of his time to be sitting on hold because New York State can't get it together to fix their unemployment issue. Imagine if his avatar could have just done that. And on the other end of the line, imagine if an avatar could just be the one to solve the problem, right? There are reams and reams and reams of recorded data for how people actually do this, right? Whenever you call a customer service line, they're not recording you to ensure quality. Does anyone think in any universe, any of these companies care about the quality or the good customer? No, of course they don't. Are you kidding me? They'd outsource this to the moon if they could to save money, right? They don't care about you and your experience. What they care about is scraping all that data, because they're getting tons and tons of data from every recorded call, plugging it into an algorithm. And we saw this today, in fact, in the New York Times, right? More and more customer service companies are actually using artificial intelligence. Now, there are downsides to that, but there's also upsides. So the woman they talked to for this piece had been a customer service worker for AT&T for 20 years. She was very good at her job and she was very experienced. Now, if you're somebody who's good at your job and very experienced, it's not going to bring you a lot of joy and pleasure to do the same thing over and over every time, right? Every call, oh, I lost my password. Oh, oops, I have a new phone and it's not connected, right? What her value is not doing these repetitive things over and over. What her value is solving the hard problems, right? So why not allow her to solve the hard problems while the artificial intelligence can solve the easy problems? It's less work for everyone, and it's a better experience for everyone. So that's what we're thinking about. Like, these AI-powered avatars can end what I call time theft. You know, if a company can't get it together to do something correctly, I shouldn't be punished by having to sit there and spend an hour listening to hold music because they can't enter a medical billing code the right way, right? So my avatar can do that. So that's the nice thing. If you have an avatar that is, again, trained on your data, that is powered by you, with your consent, by the way. You know, we talk a lot about consent and artificial intelligence. That's what the writer's strike is about right now, and the actor's strike is about right now. People, if you don't consent to having your data scraped, that's really problematic. If you consent to creating this avatar with your own data, then that's great, and that's what we should be focused on. So let's talk about another thing that this can help with, right? I mean, networking is no fun. You know, a lot of us go to these events, and they're fun, and sometimes we meet great people, but you also get approached by hustlers and scam artists, and you get stuck in the corner, and some guy's yelling in your face for 20 minutes about his cool new thing, and you're just like, what do I do? How do I get? You're just desperately looking for somebody in some way to extract yourself, and you're like, I have to go to the bathroom, and you run away. So, you know, this is basically like a needle in a haystack. You go to any of these big events, maybe you meet one or two great people, and you're going to meet 50 people that are great humans but don't align with your goals. So this is what you can do with your avatar. You send your avatar into this space, they can sort through all the other bots, right? Everyone's bots are just going to be connecting and connecting and connecting. And then if two bots come together and they're like, oh, this is actually good, this could be interesting, then the humans each get a little ping, and it's like, all right, this is bot verified. Now, is it always going to work out? Of course not, right? You chat with somebody, you're like, okay, you seemed cool, but maybe not. But it's going to reduce a lot of the noise, right? And I think this is already happening. How many of you get emails from I found your contact on LinkedIn, and then it's just kind of gibberish? Clearly that's AI. Because it would make me really sad if humans were writing those. It would just really break my heart if that was the state of the universe where actual humans were writing these weird emails about lead gen. So I'm just assuming it's all AIs already. So we're kind of already there. But this is a way to really focus your time, right? So you're not wasting your time. You're actually able to spend your time doing the things that you enjoy and still get great results. And then this is actually where it gets a little more interesting is, you know, I've worked service jobs. I've been a waitress, I've worked at bookstores, I've worked at coffee places, and you have to be nice and smiley and peppy, and sometimes people misinterpret you're nice and smiley and peppy for wanting to date them, or they feel like they can just sort of abuse you because you're there to just, you know, be their helper person. And it's really difficult, and that's a lot of work and emotional labor to do that and to, you know, perform that function all the time. So again, this probably won't work in the real world, right? You can't have a bot bring you your coffee, although I have seen more and more sort of automated food service things. I was in a restaurant in Australia a while ago, and I got my food from a robot, which was kind of interesting, but also kind of strange. But the thing is, in the metaverse, right, when we are in the metaverse, we're talking about sort of service provision in the metaverse, you can have something that's pre-programmed without actually having to have a human pretend to care, right? So again, if you call customer service, I mean, I don't think they care that much. I think it's just a job that you do for money, but you have to pretend that you care that like this person's credit card got stolen and you have to fix it or whatever. So the point is you can outsource this. Humans don't actually have to do all this work. And then it's just like a better experience. You don't have to pretend. And again, once you kind of focus and all that other external work is being done, then the people who are trained can just focus on the work that they're good at. So at the end of the day, this really isn't about like less work, it's about better work, right? We don't want to get rid of jobs necessarily. We just want to get rid of this idea that we have to work all the time, right? How many of us work, I mean, if you were to look at your work week, how many people work 40 hours a week? 50? More? Yeah, exactly, right? We work all the time, right? I was thinking about how many hours I work and sort of all the work that I do and what constitutes work. So there's a woman, Marlee Grace, Marlee, is her first name, and then Grace. She wrote a book that came out a couple years ago called How Not to Be Working All the Time. And it's a pretty revolutionary book because what it asks you to do, and this is more for creative people, not so much for people with 9-to-5s, but anyone can use this book because it sort of asks you to put yourself into like, what are your definite work categories? What are your kind of work categories? And what are your non-work categories, right? So your definite work categories are like you're in your office doing your job. But then there's all this non-work stuff, right? You're expected to network. You're expected to be on LinkedIn all the time. I'm so humbled and honored to blah, 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 right? No, I don't think anyone likes to do it, but you have to do it, right? It's part of the work. There's something I've been thinking about called the social second shift, which is not just your job, but you have to go drink with your boss. You have to go play golf with your manager. You have to post on LinkedIn all the time. You have to be on social media. And it starts to really eat your life. And we're seeing this more and more with younger people, right? So if you are older, you could have gotten away for many years with having a job where you showed up at 9, you did a good job, you left at 5, maybe you went to the holiday party, maybe you had dinner with your boss every couple of weeks, but generally there was a pretty good separation. Now what we're seeing, and especially with younger people who are quote unquote influencers, is you never, ever, ever get time off. You are always working, even though you're kind of never working, right? So if you're a social media influencer, you don't have to go to an office, but you are always on, right? We don't need to live like that. We don't need to just spend all of our time working and grinding. And trust me, I say this, I do not take this advice, right? I work all the time. It makes me kind of insane. And I love what I do. I love, love, love what I do. But it's really hard sometimes. And I just think about how could I do this better? Because the challenge is, it's not just like, oh, this work is boring. This work that I have to do that I don't want to do is eating up my time and it's eating up my energy. How many of you have ever noticed if you're working on a project, like you're doing your expenses, right? Something we all have to do after a business trip, we sit down, we put in our receipts and we sort of organize everything. You feel really depleted afterwards. And it's not like that work is hard. You're not digging a ditch, you're not doing hard manual labor. You're literally like breakfast at Starbucks, $9, lunch at blah, 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 $17, right? But it's just boring and it really saps your energy. And it's one thing if that's like an hour every couple of weeks after a business trip and otherwise your work is fun and creative. But if you are constantly having to do this boring, repetitive work, it really just kind of destroys your soul. And there's so much more people could be doing. Think of the potential that we're wasting by forcing people to spend their time doing this boring, repetitive work. I go back to the article that was in the Times today about this woman who's working at the call center in Mississippi. And her argument was that it has given her a middle-class life. She doesn't have a college degree. She's able to buy a house, raise her child. And that's great. But think of what else she could be doing. Think of the potential she has to do other work, right? She can retrain. She can do other interesting things, right? So at a certain point, it's not about job loss. It's about opening up new opportunities, allowing people to reach their full potential, and allowing people to really enjoy what they're doing, and to also enjoy not doing any work. right? Enjoy sitting in a hammock on the beach, enjoy going fishing, enjoy going to the movies, enjoy doing whatever it is that you want to do, because you don't have to work all the time. Your avatar, powered by your own work from the past, can be doing your work in the future. So again, at the end of the day, it's really about work smarter, not harder, multitask by doing calisthenics while you're doing the soundboard, which I love. Oh my God, amazing. And that's about it. So yeah, thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it. And feel free to add me on socials. It's just Courtney Harding, Cortney. So that's how you spell my first name. And yeah, that's my time. So thanks, everyone.